All right, y'all. I am excited for this one. We're going to end up at the end of this video tasting some of this cinnamon apple wine. I think it's going to be off the chain. You want to learn how to turn 50 pounds of apples into some cinnamon apple wine without even using cinnamon to do it? Check out this video. Let's go. Dude, this freaking wine is off the chain. Well, buddy, I am excited for this one. We got 50 pounds of organic apples right out the backyard. Let's get these apples washed up and we're ready to roll. Next up, we need 2 pounds of sugar for every 1 gallon of wine. We are making 3 gallons of wine and are using 6 pounds of sugar with 3 cups of water to make our simple syrup. I do prefer bottled water. Let's get this made. After getting this water added, we will constantly stir on medium-low heat until the sugar is nicely dissolved. Make sure you don't burn the sugar, and it should look something like this. You can see the bottom of the pan and the spoon through the syrup. It's ready to roll. Alright y'all, all I'm doing here is using a 1 gallon carboy to measure out 2.5 gallons of water. Make sure you have a good grip on the carboy. The sanitizer can make everything pretty slippery. Once we have our water measured out, we will then add 20 milliliters of Star San. Make sure to follow the instructions so that it's safe to consume. I'm going to get everything sanitized and ready to roll. Let's go. Alright, make sure your surface area and everything you use is good and sanitized. Sanitization is a key element to a successful outcome. We want our wine safe to consume. Alright, it's time to get all these apples ready to roll. Now all I'm doing here is removing the core and seeds of every apple. If you see a bad spot, cut it off and discard. We want our wine of premium quality. Alright y'all, it's time to get these apples blended up. If the apples don't puree, add a little bit of bottled water until the mixture is thin enough to puree. Not too much, not too little, just the right amount. We will start with some Wine Tannin. What Wine Tannin does is basically adds like a viscosity, so it's not so watery. Mouthfeel would be a great word for it. And so you gotta have some type of tannin. This one says add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. We're gonna treat this as a 4-gallon batch. So what we're gonna do is add 4 half teaspoons. We're gonna go on the highest side of this one here. So got 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and get acid blend in. And this one says combination, it doesn't say. I'm pretty sure it's a 1/2 teaspoon per gallon though. So we're gonna go with 2 teaspoons of the acid blend. I think they actually got the UPC sticker over the instructions, but that's okay. We know what it needs, so we're good. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, it's a little light, 4. That'll add some nice acidity, bring out some of the flavors here. Pectic Enzyme. So this is the big question, right? I'm going to go with the 1/10 teaspoon per pound of fruit. So we're going to go 4 teaspoons of the Pectic Enzyme, which is twice as much as the per gallon. So even though we got 4 gallons, we got 40 pounds of fruit. So I think it's warranted in this situation. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pretty easy peasy there. All right, so we got the tannin, we got the acid blend, and we have the Pectic Enzyme. Last but not least, Campden Tablets. What this is going to do is kill off everything we don't want in our wine. So let's go ahead and get that added now. What I do is I take a couple sanitized spoons and crush it in between 2 spoons and add it. You could probably just throw them in, to be honest with you, but it's an extra precautionary and why not?
These are 1 per gallon, so we're going to treat this like a 4-gallon batch. Now, some of you might be thinking we only did enough simple syrup for a 3-gallon batch, which is correct. I think the ABV is going to land around 12.5 with the 6 pounds of sugar. I have another 2 pounds of sugar within a simple syrup reserve on hand just in case we need it. But I'm pretty sure that the 6 pounds is going to get us to where we need. So at 1, 2, 3, and hey, I get an extra on there. All right, last but not least, 4. All right. What we're going to do now is grab our wine paddle, and we're just going to give this a good stir here right quick. I decided I think I'm going to seal this up, and then we'll add the simple syrup afterwards, mainly because I don't want all of our ingredients to get trapped or stuck inside the bag. And I want to make sure that it hits the actual final product outside of the bag. So we're just going to tie this up real quick. And there's a couple different methods out there. People tie these bags, but I don't know. I just kind of do whatever works. So that should be good. Good enough. All right, let's go ahead and add our ingredients along with our simple syrup here. You can see all the juice that we're getting out of this, which is great. Because that juice is thin enough to where I can get a reading with the hydrometer. So we're going to go ahead and add this in here. All right, guys, after taking a look, we are perfectly, and I mean perfectly, at 12.5%. Which is exactly what I was reaching for. So I need to do absolutely nothing. I'm gonna get this poured back in since it's sanitized. We're gonna let this set for 24 hours, let the ingredients do their work. We don't need to worry about oxygen at this point, so don't worry about that. And I'm gonna get an airlock sanitized and get this thing sealed up. So we'll see you in 24 hours. Today we're gonna use Red Star yeast, which means I need a pair of scissors, which I'm not too happy about. Nonetheless, terrible packet would be cool. Premier Classique, so really, really good for fruit wines. Does a really good job. And then we're going to use some yeast nutrient. This is from North Mountain, and instructions on this is 1 teaspoon per gallon. So we're going to use 4 teaspoons to feed our yeast. This is good for up to 5 gallons. We got 4. We're just going to throw the whole thing in there. I am going to utilize a hydrometer to get our final ABV reading, and let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so that's not cool, but we got a backup plan. And what we're going to do is I always have on reserve some simple syrup. So we're going to go ahead and add that and bump up the ABV here. What I have noticed is more of the fruit has actually broken down into a liquid. So that pectic enzyme is definitely doing its job. Bag is a lot easier to work with too. So just even in the 24 hours. We are just under, right at about 10%. So let's go ahead and add this back in, and we're going to get it up to hopefully a 12.5 here. All right, let's see where we're at. Yeah, we're at 1.10. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to be hitting probably about 13-14% here. So Obviously, we'll run the numbers at the end of this thing and see where we land, but we're about right on the money for that 12.5 we were shooting for, which is great. Let's go ahead and get this poured back in. We'll add the yeast nutrient. We'll add the yeast, and then we're gonna give it 24 hours before you give it another stir here. All right, let's get this yeast nutrient in. So 4 teaspoons, got sanitized teaspoon here. 2. Puree. And 4. Now I will tell you, if so anytime you ferment, there's always like some type of smell, right? And it's not a like bad smell or anything like that, but sometimes it can get a little strong. If it does, it's just the CO2, but if it does get strong, add a little extra yeast nutrient. See if it pops back within 24 hours. So cool. Let's go ahead. I'm going to actually stir this up because I want the yeast nutrient mixed in well before we actually add the yeast. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. And then the yeast, we don't need to mix in at first. I actually want it on the top layer in contact with liquid. So that way it's got plenty of oxygen to breathe, especially as it's getting started. All right, let's get this lid popped on. Airlock. So always check the level and make sure that you got enough of the sanitizer in there. Sometimes they can dry out, and when they do, it's a bad day. All right, and just like that, I'll see you guys tomorrow, which is going to be in like 2 seconds. All right, you guys, it has been 24 hours since we added the yeast. What we're going to do is stir this for probably the next 5 to 7 days, something around there, just to keep it oxygenated and let that yeast do its thing. Depending on how active it is what will determine if I continue to stir and add oxygen or not. So we're going to go ahead and get this lid removed to get it stirred up. I'm going to show you guys what the next 5 to 7 days looks like. So that way you can kind of see what goes on and what it looks like, hopefully in good conditions over the next 5 to 7 days as it ferments. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I tell you what, this smells fantastic. This is going to be a good one. Now, hopefully after today, we got some foam going, which is good. But once this thing starts really rocking and rolling, you're going to see a ton of foam. All right, and just like that, we're actually at a 0.990. Actually went below 1.00, so there's definitely alcohol. That's the good news. We're going to run a few calculations to see exactly where we're at, but should be right around 13%, which is pretty good. I'm going to rack this into a carboy here. Keep in mind, I do have some sanitization fluid left in the carboy, and that's okay. You don't need to worry about that. And then what I do is I have a chair here that's got a pot that's also been sanitized, just in case it decides it wants to crack or leak or anything like that. I don't want to clean up the mess, so I use a pot. So we're going to go ahead and use our racking cane, and we're going to get these carboys filled up. I'm going to show you to start off with the racking cane, what that kind of looks like from this perspective. And then I want to show you what it kind of looks like from the carboy perspective. So that way you got both sides here. And to begin with, instead of dumping this back into this, disturbing the wine and everything that's at the bottom, what I'm actually going to do is instead pour it into this carboy. And that little bit of oxygen is not going to be the end of the world. And there we go. Now I got a good oxygen-free flow. Now I can do this and save this little bit of wine. It's actually a decent amount because everything's been sanitized in star sand. So sanitization is your friend. Remember that, and make sure everything's sanitized. So let's go ahead and get this started. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this racking cane that's also been sanitized, and we're going to get it into the bottle. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that the tube is at the bottom of your carboy, just like that. You don't want to introduce oxygen, so that's the goal. And see if we can get this siphon going. Rock and roll here. All right, so that thicker stuff is what you want to stay away from, without a doubt. That's about how much I let go, mainly because it was thick enough to where it didn't want to siphon very well, which is a pretty good indicator to me. Probably got enough, but we did get 3 gallons, so we're good to go. And you can see here as to why I stopped. The amount of sediment with the third pull is vastly different than the first and second. And literally all I was pulling was this stuff here, which is actually too thick to actually siphon. So all in all, we didn't get the extra little bit, but that is okay. We got plenty here. We did get 3 full gallons. I would imagine after we run the bentonite, which we're going to add now, wait 30 days. We're going to add the super clear, wait a few days, and then it's actually ready to bottle, right? In the meantime, however, we are going to oak this wine with a imported Brazilian oak, which is actually going to add a beautiful, beautiful cinnamon character without actually using any cinnamon at all. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. We are going to leave that Brazilian oak in for probably 4 to 6 weeks. So this one will rack with the bentonite a little longer than I normally run. We'll do a little tasting here and there just to make sure that we got it right. So let's go ahead and get the bentonite added. Per the instructions, says 2 teaspoons or half cup of warm water, right? So what we're going to do is I have some room temperature water here. I'll go ahead and add a half cup. Gonna pop it in the microwave a little bit. Feel free, doesn't need it. And we're gonna go 2 teaspoons. one. And keep in mind, the measuring cup and the measuring spoon have both been sanitized. Now, this stuff is extremely difficult to clean once it dries. I would strongly suggest once you're done using it to soak it in some soapy water, let that stuff loosen up. It'll wash right off. So, bentonite. We're going to grab a sanitized quart, which I have right here. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and just start mixing this stuff up. And we're going to let this settle for probably 25 to 30 days. All right, so we got enough for 5 gallons. We're going to split that into thirds-ish. And I just got these airlocks on here loosely right now, just to eliminate any air. Probably going to pull a little bit out of this one, a little bit out of this one, because once we add this, it's going to bring it up to about where we want it. And I'm going to show you right now exactly how to determine where you want the amount of fluid at. What I like to do is take the paddle, and I'm going to stick the paddle into the carboy. I'm going to determine exactly where I want the amount of fluid to go. So this is sanitized. We're going to remain sanitized. We're going to set out a sanitized surface. And then what we're going to do, we're going to mix this bentonite up. Hey, you do a little bit better. There we go. And we're going to add about a third. So we're at a half cup right now. That's about a third. Doesn't need to be super sciencey because, well, we have enough for 5 gallons. We're only running 3, so if we're approximate, we're good. So they say to mix in one direction and then counter mix in the opposite direction. And then go ahead and repeat that process. And what this does is allows the bentonite to get mixed in really, really well. Now, we are going to mix this once a day for probably the next 5 days-ish. And that'll allow the bentonite to get really, really well mixed. And that'll allow the bentonite to pull all of that stuff that's currently in the wine, pulp, etc., yeast, that we don't want in our final product out of the wine. And it'll all settle to the bottom. All right, I'm going to leave that right there right now. I'm going to go ahead and get these next two. This one is a little full. This one, honestly, I would actually like a little bit higher. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to pull a little bit from this carboy and top this carboy off a little bit because this is a little full, this is a little empty. And we're going to do that now. I have the most elite tool of all, the turkey baster. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and pull some of this wine out. And we're just going to go ahead and add it there. What I like to do with the mixing paddle in, probably a little too much, is I like to bring it about to, I might be right. Yeah, right there, a halfway mark. It's perfect. I'm going to set this on, actually this countertop is sanitized, so I'm going to go ahead and set that there for now. And this looks about right. That actually looks about right. A little bit of wine on my gloves, so I'm just going to change those real quick. We just need to add a little cinnamon flavor. So once we're probably done mixing the bentonite, we're going to go ahead and add some Brazilian oak. And I'll show you what that looks like. I got some spirals that have been imported from Brazil. And oh my gosh. Cinnamon 101. Super good. You guys are going to love this one. All right, that's good and mixed up. We are done with the mixing paddle for today. Go ahead and toss that over in the sink. Now, what you'll notice is if I were to put this in right now, sanitized, good to go, it's just going to pop right back out. You will run into this as you try to replicate these recipes, right? What I have found is that if you take paper towel and make sure that bung is super dry, just around the sides, right? And take the paper towel and make sure the inside of your carboy, right in the mouth of it. Apologize for the noise. Make sure the carboy is super dry. And then what will happen is when you go to press a dry carboy into a dry bung into a dry carboy airlock will actually stay. So I'm gonna replicate that with these two, and then in about 24 hours, come back. I'm gonna stir again, another 24 hours, repeat for about the next 5 days. So we're gonna stir this up, stir this up, stir this up. All right, you guys, it is the very next day. It's been about 24 hours. With the bentonite, they say to stir that up every day for about 3 days. So today will be day 1, then you're gonna see day 2, and then day 3. On day 3 is when we're gonna decide to oak this. And I have an oak spiral that is Brazilian oak, which gives off a lot of cinnamon notes. So we should end up with a cinnamon apple wine. At least that's the goal. So I'm gonna get this undone. You might notice that I have it covered with a towel at the moment. You don't need to do this if you have this in a dark space that's cool, like a basement with no windows. I currently have it upstairs in my kitchen with a lot of natural sunlight. You don't want sunlight hitting your wine. So for the first few days, we're gonna keep it covered like this outside of when we stir it. And then once we get it oaked and get the product to where it's gonna sit for about 30 days, that's when I'll take it downstairs, and I'll show you guys that too. So right now, let's get this unwrapped and get it stirred up. You'll notice here, I have a rack to set the spoon on and the carboys on. We're gonna sanitize that. I got some gloves that we're gonna use as well as just a extra precautionary. You have to, absolutely not. You can definitely sanitize your hands instead if you wish. I just prefer, personally, to sanitize gloves. So that's what we're gonna do. We got our stirring stick here, and we're gonna go ahead and get this good and sanitized as well. Now you'll notice, had I not saved some of that sanitizer, the Star San, we would be making a batch of sanitizer solution just to stir the wine. So super handy. Let's go ahead and get this guy off of here. Take a look, see what we got going on. All right, now that we got that done, I'm gonna show you guys a little trick. Naturally, kind of want to take the paddle, set it down, put the airlock back on. We're not gonna do that since we got multiple gallons here. What we're gonna do, take the airlock off and move the stirring stick. Let's get a paper towel here. And move the stirring stick just right over to the next carboy. You don't have to worry about anything. Well, that one's looking pretty good. All right, let's get this one stirred up here. All right, that looks pretty good. And just like last time, I'm gonna remove the airlock. And let's grab a paper towel here. The stirring stick moved over. Occasionally, you can kind of feel and hear the bentonite at the bottom of the carboy. You want to make sure you get all of that stuff good and stirred in. About there. All right, looks good to me. All right. We're going to get this wrapped back up in the blanket, and we'll see you in 24 hours when it's time to do this all over again. All right, guys, it is the day we get to oak this wine. So we're on day 3 of stirring the bentonite. We're gonna get that stirred. I got a Brazilian oak spiral. They say it's good enough. It's 8 inches. Say it's good enough for up to 3 gallons, which is exactly what we have here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break that into thirds and then put a third in each carboy after getting that bentonite stirred up. I'm excited to see where this one comes out. I did toast and boil the oak spiral before use, so it's actually cooling off right now. I just finished up with that. So you want to bake at 350 for 10 minutes. And what that's going to do is 2 things. One, it'll give it a little bit extra flavor. However, most importantly, I have used this oak before previously for apple. And what it will do is help sanitize the oak spiral. So that way we don't have any unwanted items in our wine. Boiling it for 1 minute at a full boil will also help sanitize it and make sure that there's nothing going in the wine that we don't want there. Let's go ahead and get this stirred up, shall we? This wine smells amazing. It's gonna be good. You can kind of already tell what the color of this is gonna be. Super cool. Imagine the oak might make it a little bit darker, but not much. I will tell you, as I was toasting this oak spiral, it legit smells like cinnamon. Like, hands down, cinnamon in the kitchen. Almost like you're baking a like cinnamon apple pie or something like that. Which might actually end up being exactly what we named this wine here. We'll see. It's gonna be a good one, guys. It's gonna be a good one. All right. Let's go ahead and break up that oak spiral and get that in there. Hopefully it doesn't give me too much trouble here. All right, so 1 piece here. And boy, oh boy, not bad. Not bad, pretty close. All right, let's go ahead. Actually, these turn out to be a little bit larger. This one's got a little bit more that's settling at the bottom, so I'm gonna put that one in there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. These, I'm gonna go in there. All right, those eventually will fall. I'm gonna use the paddle here real quick. Give it a quick sanitize and see if we can't get them out of the mouth of the bottle here. Oh, that one went for me. Maybe? Yeah? Huh? All right, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna get these dried up here and get the airlocks on, and then they're going into the basement where it's nice, cool, and no sunlight. And we will probably check these in about 30 days. Might take a little bit longer just with the pulp, but we'll see. I'm hoping 30 days with the bentonite, and we'll hit it with the super clear for a few days after that, and hopefully have some pretty darn good cinnamon apple wine. We'll see in a bit. All right, y'all, the day has finally arrived. It has been 90 days since we put the Brazilian oak into this wine. Cinnamon apple wine, we're gonna get it racked. We're gonna get it degassed. We're going to add our final ingredients. And then we're gonna back sweeten. Then we're gonna bottle. And then we're gonna taste. Let's go. All right, you guys, let's get this rocking and rolling. We got everything sanitized thoroughly with Star San. And next steps, what it's going to look like, so we're going to take a racking cane, get the wine racked from each gallon into a 5-gallon bucket. We're going to degas, and we're going to add ingredients to stabilize the wine, so that way we can back sweeten. Show you what that looks like now. And lucky enough for me, I got Cordell in the house to help me today. Thank you, Cordell.
More than welcome.
This process is definitely a lot easier with 2 people, so phone a friend. Ready?
Yep.
Now you'll notice that we have that tube all the way at the very bottom. You do not want to incorporate oxygen at this stage. Good?
Yep. Solid flow.
The other thing you want to stay away from is the bottom of this lees. Do not get any of that into your wine at this stage. Waste a little wine to make sure you get nothing in there that you don't want in there, because this is going to get bottled, and if you get any of that stuff into the bucket, it'll go into the bottle. All right, you guys, we're going to get the rest of this done real quick, show you what the next steps look like. All right, you guys can see that we left some of the wine in the bottom of these carboys. That is on purpose. It is not worth getting that little itty tiny bit of wine and taking the risk of getting that lease into your bottle. So don't feel bad. It was left for a good reason. All right, let's get the ingredients added, shall we? All right, we have everything sanitized. Now, when I say everything, I'm talking the countertop, the utensils, all of it. If you see it, it's sanitized. We did put a lid on to cover the wine. You don't want oxygen getting into your wine at this point. So in between, while you get stuff set up, sanitized, or whatever the case may be, keep the lid on to keep the oxygen out. All right, you guys, let's get the ingredients added. First thing first, we're going to use some Campden Tablets. We got 3 gallons, 1 per gallon. And all we're going to do is take a couple spoons, crush these, and add them in. All right, you guys, just like that. Next up, some potassium sorbate. Now, the Campden Tablets is going to remove anything that you don't want in your wine. So as we have it open, if there's any type of bacteria in the air or anything like that, the Campden Tablets will kill it off. The next thing, the potassium sorbate, what that is used for is a stabilizer. So that way, when you go to add sugar and back sweeten the wine, any leftover yeast, the potassium sorbate will neutralize. So that way it doesn't ferment in the bottle, pop off corks, blow up bottles, stuff like that. So very important step if you're going to back sweeten. All right, ½ teaspoon per gallon. All right, you guys, just like that. Next up, let's degas. Now that we got the degassing done, it is time to back sweeten. I've reserved 2 cups of 3 pounds of simple syrup. We use 3 pounds of sugar and 3 cups of water. I'm going to go ahead and add the majority of this because I know it's going to need it. Just like that. All right, now at this stage, when you're making it yourself, taste it for sweetness. Since Cordell and I are going to do a tasting at the end of the video, I don't want to ruin that experience for you. So I'm going to have my wife taste this real quick, taste it for sweetness, and we'll see where we're at. All right. In the words of my wife, there's definitely alcohol in this wine, so I'm excited for that one. It does need more sweetness, so I'm going to go ahead and add the last 2 cups. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and stir this in. I'll have my wife give it a taste, and it should be right where it needs to be, if my calculations are correct. Let's see. All right, y'all, I am excited for this one. My wife gave it a taste. That sweetness level is spot on. And whew, if she's telling me this wine is spot on, I'm excited to taste this one. We're going to get everything set up and ready to bottle. Show you what that looks like next. Let's go. All right, you guys, I'm excited for this one. I think this wine's going to be out of this world. I did sanitize 13 bottles. I think we're actually going to get 12 bottles, but a 13th just in case. We also have our corks and sanitizer, and then our racking cane. We also added a spring-loaded tip, so that way when it's in the bottle and the tip is pressed, it lets the wine out. And then as soon as you pull up on this, the siphon shuts off. So, yeah. We're ready to roll. Let's bottle some wine. All right, you guys, and you want to take it up to the very top of the bottle, and it should leave the perfect amount of headspace. Just like that. Look at the clarity of that wine. Wow, you guys can see my hand right through it, clear as day. Ooh, buddy, it's going to be good. Let's go. All right, y'all, it's time to cork these bottles. We got 13 bottles of wine. Not bad. I'm going to show you how to cork. Let's go. All right, you guys, all you do is take the bottle like this. Put it there just like that. Make sure everything's lined up. Put your cork in the hole. Just like that. All right, we're gonna get all these bottles corked, and then it's tasting time. Let's go. All right, you guys, it's tasting time. Cordell, you ready for this one?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yes.
Ooh.
Ooh, that smells really good.
Wow. Wow.
You can actually smell cinnamon.
100%. We didn't even use any cinnamon.
Mm-mm.
Wow, that Brazilian oak. Wow, this smells good. And the clarity on it, holy cow, the clarity. Ooh, buddy.
It's looking good.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Cheers. Oh. Oh.
Beyond.
All right. One, there's alcohol in this wine. And 2, the flavor.
Yeah.
Not what I expected, but it is incredible.
First sip, 1 pound of apples.
Yes, 100%. 100%. The very first note is apple. The second note that just kind of sneaks up, cinnamon.
That aftertaste. Once
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah, 100%. It's like punch in your face apple, hit the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I tell you what, man. You guys ever take the initiative to make your own wine? Make cinnamon apple wine. It's delish. Until next time, ciao. Dude, this freaking wine is off the chain. Oh, in all reality, dude, that wine, what would you give it? Cordell scale out of 10.
You're done.
Yeah, it's freaking good. Without a doubt. I give it a 10 all day, too.
Whoa. I'm not a big wine person at all.
No?
No, but this,
Yeah, it's good.
good.
Woo! buddy, I'm excited for this one.
No.
What happened, Cornell? What happened?
I thought the other one was perfect. I didn't know how you were gonna like up it, and then you just scream at the kid.
Yeah, let's go.
I just did it.